At this point, I would say us Arsenal fans are done with the screaming and the shouting and all of that kind of stuff in relation to us losing against West Ham. Congratulations to West Ham and it's commiserations to Arsenal. Now, as I said, we've done the screaming and shouting thing, but like you lot, I love the football club in it. So naturally, you're still thinking what ifs. You're thinking about like the micro in relation to the West Ham game. You're obviously thinking about the macro and the ramifications of what this means for our season if you haven't accepted the inevitable, in my opinion, which is we are not going to win the Premier League. 99% hope. The rest of it, I don't know, people. But yeah, man, to say that we've got a mountain to climb is an understatement. Even if we did have a massive mountain to climb in turning this domestic campaign around, yeah, we simply put don't have the tools. We don't have the tools. We're a good side, we're not a great side, and I'm not saying that to be disingenuous. We didn't help ourselves out in the last two transfer markets. Whether we've been unlucky or whatnot with injuries is neither here nor there. Did the cold hearted facts is we haven't got the players. Whatever that should have happened in terms of injuries, do we have the players? No, so we don't even have the tools to climb up the mountain and whatnot, people. And it's frustrating, man, because I do think. I'm not here to say things for no reason, but that is our first defeat in like 15 games. We haven't lost at the Emirates in a long time. We're not a bad side. We're not where we used to be, but it's at the end of the day now, it's time to win trophies, about getting over the line. Like I said, I'm neither here nor there. How you view the club and the process and all that kind of stuff is down to you. What I do know is Mikel Arteta says, I want to win trophies. When a lot of Arsenal fans were waffling about us being the best team of 2024, that man came out and said, the reality is we can have all that statistic stuff. We didn't win trophies. The players want it. The gaffer wants it. Sure as hell, I want it as fans. How we're going about it, whether it's the players, the manager, and the owners, and how us fans view it, clearly, we're at loggerheads with that. So let me just break a couple things down. I want to start with the players. I know there's injuries. I know there's an element of fatigue. Naturally, there's probably not a single team in the Premier League, much less the top six, down to injuries and all the games they've had to play and all of that kind of stuff, that are at full health, even the players that are available. But this is football. That happens. Whenever we lose games, and I look at the 3 defeats for me in the Premier League, what's that? Bournemouth, Newcastle away, Bournemouth away, Newcastle away, and obviously West Ham at home. Of course, there's different contexts behind those 3 individual games, but and I guess it has only been 3 games, but for me, there's no intensity. The minimum of winning a football match or doing anything is intensity. And I don't get the vibe. Sometimes I don't feel there's a medium in our team when we lose games. Not that I ever want to lose games. It was lackluster. I can't praise West Ham enough. They're not in the best of form. They came here and gave you a masterclass, at much of an exaggeration, how to get 3 points and keep it pushing. Back 5, remain rigid, counter attack, and even the counter attack thing, we can't just make out that they were doing that. They probably had the better chances. We had a bunch of possession, we huffed and puffed. Obviously, with them playing as a back 5, they're trying to stop the crosses and things. Whether it was playing more intricately, centrally in the pockets, or adding width to the side with Tierney or Calafiori and all of that overlapping, it is what it is. But for the players, the intensity level, I'm not here to just say it's the captain, but if I be devil's advocate, again, I don't feel you need a captain's armband to lead and play well, but you could argue it comes from the captain. When I'm seeing my captain not putting in the performances, especially in times where we simply put, we just need to roll our socks up. I guess what I'm saying to the players is, regardless of why we are not in the best possible form and all of that, why don't I get the vibe like it's sink or swim? Like we're leaving it all out there. Like if we're not behaving like a team that, we need to win our games to have any chance of winning anything. It's as simple as that. And there's too many regrets. You're not leaving it all out there, man. And players that made mistakes against West Ham, more so the defenders or Declan Rice, bunch of players switching off for the goal they scored. Calafiori defensively looks a bit shaky. But a couple of those boys have saved us numerous times this season. But again, we're not here to do that. It's the standards. Like, it's too easy. You can't switch off against Bowen. Even when you watch the West Ham game again, people, there was a chance, almost not quite identical, but quite similar, when Bowen, I think he shanked the shot wide. Alarm bell should have went off, from West Ham. Even the run, even the counter attack, big them up. But these are the things that can't happen, especially at this point of the season, And I don't know how you look at things, people. If it's courageous, how some Arsenal fans like to paint it. We've got injuries, refs hate us, or is it, pardon my French, stupidity? Because it's another season, quote unquote, out of context, but in context, because you haven't got a striker, that another centre mid's leading the charge. Like, let's be real. Liverpool have a player in Mohamed Salah that is inevitable, that is going to score goals regardless of how the City game pans out. City have Haaland generally. We've got Saka that's becoming that, but we don't have people that could even do 50% of that. And that was my first thought watching the game. Like, okay, it's bad. It's not happening now. Do we have any players that can just get us out of jail? Simply put, just get us out of jail. Of course, there's been aspects we've done that this season, but there's not a player that can. It's been bad. Just keep it moving. Yeah, Marino can't. You could say he did that against Leicester, but again, that was clearly just one of those games. You get away with it, you keep it moving, and even that game wasn't anything to scream and shout about. So that's where I'm at with the players. Mikel Arteta, again, in short, especially in games like this, it feels that there's obviously things we could have done in game, but it feels like I'm watching a lot of similar things from last season play out. And ultimately, those fine margins we waffled about that cost us, ironically, 9 times out of 10 against the same teams. You're not switching it up quick enough. Again, teams, or I look at the Eddie Howes of this world, the Graham Potters, Emery, and all of them kind of managers, really, they're clocking it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got a brand of football, that's how you want to play, but you're not switching it up. Like, I just feel there's we ain't got players that are inevitable. We're not playing for whether it's the players or the gaffer or the consequence of how we built this squad. There's no intensity, which is the minimum, really, especially if West Ham were prepared to just sit back and games that are followed suit. Mikel Arteta just not learning from the little mistakes you need to make, man. I mean, you need to learn from. So you're shooting us in the foot. How the owners of this football club could have been happy with the summer transfer window or January window, I don't know. But, it is what it is in that regards, man. So, boy, as long as it's as ridiculous as it would be if Arsenal won the Premier League, all Arsenal could do is try and win games for obvious reasons and to keep any small hopes alive. But it's going to be a third year of reflection, whether we've won, whether we've been leading the race for the Premier League title or the chase in pack or whatever the teams look like, whatever players have been there. It's another season of explaining. At the end of the day, winners win and losers explain. And I guess everyone's just going to have to pick themselves up and go again, really. You know what time it is. We're going to start hearing about the summer and what we're going to do then and whatnot. And the club got to deliver in the summer, but boy, we'll just have to see, man. So it's quite disappointing. It is a one reflection. I know people sit here and they always do things like, oh, you can't be negative. It's not even that I'm being negative or want to be negative. Football mirrors society in life. When do you learn about yourself and make changes that improve your life? It's only in defeat or setbacks, right? Whether, God forbid, it happens to anyone, losing jobs, losing people professionally and personally and things like that. So, of course, when you drop stupid points, this is when you need to look back, of what we're doing and how we can eradicate this, because it's happening a bit too frequently. There's also been numerous, and don't get twisted, it happens across the season, but there's been numerous games that we could have learned from. We definitely could have learned from Aston Villa at their place. We definitely could have learned from the home games against Southampton and Leicester. There's been several times where we've nicked it, but we've not heeded the warnings. And I feel when May comes, the players, the manager, the owners, everybody at this football club, they can't say they did all of what they tried. You can say it's been courageous and all of that, but you can't say you've put your best foot forward across every aspect. You can't say you can have no regrets. So it is what it is in that regards, man. We just have to focus on Nottingham Forest, which isn't going to be an easy feat in itself. And what shall be, shall be.
You always just like